Yo, are you obsessed with quality control when it comes to your brand? Don't overthink it, let me help you out.
Fat Man Scoop, Brooklyn Clan. What's up, y'all? This is Fat Man Scoop. And right now, you watching the sensei, the number one, the king, my dude, Big Brando. He taught me, personally, me, Fat Man Scoop. All you gotta do is keep your mouth closed and your ears open. Listen to the man talk. That's knowledge personified right there, and I wouldn't trust nobody else but my dude, Big Brando. And I said it. Fat Man Scoop, Big Brando, let's go!
Satin everybody, boy Big Brando, and today I want to talk about quality control. Now, when I say quality control, I'm talking about really being nitpicky at the stuff that you deliver to your customers. I'm the same way. I'm pretty sure you're the same way too. A lot of us go through this as the creators ourselves, and we're very hard on ourselves. So I want to show you this hat right here. I stitched this hat up a little while ago. Looks cool, right? Shaka, got brown thread with the black stroke around. It's on a dad hat. I stitched this hat. I embroidered this hat right here. This hat didn't make it to sale because of this little stitching right here. Can you see the brown showing out over the black? And that didn't pass my quality control. So everything that I create with my own hands, I inspect thoroughly to make sure everything looks good. I'm pressing transfers on a t-shirt. I want to make sure it looks straight, looks good. Everything's lined up correctly. Everything is laying down correctly. When it comes to stitching hats, I'm looking at every single stitch. If I'm doing a 3D puff stitch, I'm making sure the foam's not poking out. I'm making sure the stitches cover everything and everything looks good. But I am my worst critic because I had a friend in the shop. They checked out this hat. They said, hey, what's wrong with this hat? How come it's not in the other pile? How come it's not stacked up with the other ones? And I kind of had this in the throwaway pile. And then I said, oh, check it out, man. The stitching was off. I didn't want to offer that to a customer. I feel bad if I'm selling this to a customer. And him, as not a creator, and him as a paying customer, looked at the hat and said, what are you talking about? This thing looks exactly like the other hats. So to the naked eye, to the untrained eye, to the standard customer's eye, small details like this don't matter. They don't pick up on it because we're the creator and we are zoned in. We know what it's supposed to look like. And I'm not saying I sell a bunch of crap, and I'm not saying you should be selling whatever you press on. But what I am saying is do not be that hard on yourself. It's very easy to fall into this. It's very easy to stress out over getting a transfer to lay down exactly dead center, making sure it's not skewed in any way, making sure that that left chest print is exactly 3 to 4 inches down from the collar and X amount of inches all the way over. You guys see how I do things where I just do the 4-finger thing and then I lay it down. And then if I'm doing a left chest print, I go based off the peak in the collar straight down, 4 fingers down, then it'll lay down right here. You guys see me do that, and you guys see me do it fairly quick. And it's because long time ago, I was very nitpicky at how I did it, right? I was getting the ruler out and making sure it was exactly 4 inches or 3 1/4 inches or whatever it was to make sure I got it dead on. And then that just slows down my production because then I'm second guessing myself, and then I'm taking the transfer off, and then I'm looking at it, making sure I'm getting the center of the transfer, laying that down, then double checking my shirt to make sure that's straight. Sometimes you just have to trust yourself. Sometimes you can't be that hard on yourself because if that transfer is maybe a 1/16 of an inch off the center, chances are your customer is wearing it and isn't gonna notice a 1/16 of an inch. If it was 3 inches off, then yeah, that's a big difference, right? But like I said, if it's an 1/8 or if a 1/16 of an inch off, they're not gonna notice. So it doesn't require you to break out the ruler or be so hard on yourself, and when you measure it after you pressed it to say, oh man, this thing is off, like I got 7 1/4 on this side and then I got 7 1/8 on this side. It needs to go over just a little bit. Nah, it doesn't. It's not that crazy. 7 1/4, 7 1/8, fairly close in range, and it's not going to be noticeable when it's on the body. Just like this hat right here. Nobody gets a hat and inspects the hat like this close and you're like, oh man, yep, there's not 400 threads on this thing, so this guy lied to me. They're not going to do that. This hat's going to be worn on your head this far away. Nobody's going to see that little piece of thread sticking out over the thumb. Nobody's gonna see that. So easily, I could have sold this hat. But I was so hard on myself that I chose not to, and I put it in the burn pile or the throwaway pile. And this hat from far away looks perfectly fine. Not even from far away, but pretty much up close. It looks good. But me thinking I'm a perfectionist, me being hard on myself, I'm like, nah, I don't want to put that out because the customers, I'm afraid that the customer's gonna be like, hey, why does the thread look like this? Give me another one. Rarely do people inspect stuff before they buy it, like down to the detail. They're gonna look at this hat and be like, man, this is a dad hat. I like dad hats. I've been looking for a tan hat and it has a shock on there. That's kind of cool. That's what they're gonna look at first before inspecting everything about this hat. Same goes for t-shirts, same goes for anything that we're creating. I know there's a lot of people out there that do the tumblers that have the epoxy and stuff on there, and they are very, very hard on themselves if they don't get the right amount of glitter on one side, or they don't get the right amount of the design on this side, or whatever it is. Sometimes when people are sublimating on those tumblers and cups and stuff, they go really, really detailed into saying like, oh man, they're gonna be able to see this, or this is off by a little bit, or this design is a little skewed this way. Majority of the time, they don't even care about that. Majority of the time when we buy stuff out of the store, there might be small imperfections wrong with it. We bought it, we use it, it doesn't really bother us. So don't be that hard on yourself when you're doing it. Like I said, if the stitching was like way off, or if this little shocker was way off to the side, would not be putting it out. That belongs in the burn pile. But something this minor and this small where the normal paying customer won't even notice, so be it. So I highly recommend, do not be that hard on yourself. It's hard to say that and not do that because, like I said, we always want to put out top quality stuff. We always want to put out the best that we can. But when it comes to something so minor like this that we're willing to risk not recouping the money for this, and we're just like, I don't want to put that out, I don't want my name behind that, and it's not that big of a deal, now you start to fall into this really weird funk of, now there's an issue with everything I do. Oh man, this isn't perfect, this isn't perfect, this isn't right. So to eliminate all that, if it looks good to the paying customer, chances are the paying customer is not gonna notice these small little, what we think are flaws. They're just gonna be like, all right, cool, man, this thing looks cool. I wanna wear this hat with the shock on it. I'm gonna go out there and rock the hat. That's all they care about. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everybody just wants to make sure whatever they buy, clothing wise, fits good on them. I don't know how many times you've been to the store and bought a t-shirt that was screen printed, or bought a t-shirt that had a design on it, and you get up in there and you really inspect the printing before you purchased it. Some of you guys might do it because I do it all the time. I'll pick up a shirt just to see how it was printed, like, oh, this is screen printed, oh, this is DTG, oh, they're using transfers on this. I'll do that kind of stuff. Or sometimes I'll go into a store and pick shirts up, touch it, feel it, look at the design, like, man, I can make that. You know what I mean? I'll do stuff like that. But rarely when I'm buying a t-shirt for myself or for my son or for anybody else, I'm not inspecting the printing before I purchase it. You know, if I see that there's a big ink stain or something like that, then obviously I'm not gonna purchase that shirt. But rarely am I gonna say, oh, the registration was off a little right here, so these halftones don't really match up that good up close. I'm not pulling out a loop and I'm not like really trying to check the print quality. I'm looking at the design and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna buy that. Usually how it goes. Same with hats. Like if I'm going out to buy a hat, I'm not gonna inspect the hat like, oh, I don't know if they really did 900 stitches on this logo right here. No, I'm gonna buy the hat because I know what it fits like, I know what I'm buying, I know what I'm getting myself into. Easy call. Sometimes I might try on a hat and I wear 7 5/8 like regularly, and sometimes it might fit me a little big. And I'm like, oh man, do you got another 7 5/8 because this one don't fit right? Then I get another one and boom, fits good. Always rock that same size so I know what it's supposed to fit like. That kind of stuff I get because it's not gonna fit right, but it's not, I'm not checking the quality of the stitch or the quality of the side patch or whatever it is. So if you don't do that as a paying customer, chances are other paying customers that shop with you aren't gonna do the same thing to you. Remember, sometimes we gotta think like customers, not like the business owner, not like the creator, but like the customer. It'll tell you a lot about yourself and it'll tell you a lot about your customer service, all right? If you got any questions, or if you do the same exact thing that I do and you really look at the fine details in everything you create and then you're hard on yourself, let me know in the comments. You guys can follow me on Instagram, Big Brando TV. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.